Assassin's Creed 3 Liberation is the first Assassin's Creed game on the PlayStation Vita, and also the first time we see a female assassin. We talked to Martin Capel about it and show you some gameplay.
Hi, I'm Martin Capel. I'm the producer for Assassin's Creed 3 Liberation, being developed exclusively for PlayStation Vita by Ubisoft Sofia.
Tell us about the game.
The game is set in the late 18th century. We're actually contemporary with Assassin's Creed 3. The game tells the story of Aveline. She's an assassin living in New Orleans. She's the daughter of a wealthy French merchant and his African wife, born in a system called Passage. It's at the turn of the 18th century, so this is a very much a time of turmoil for New Orleans. It still follows the same classic line of assassins versus Templars, but very much so that New Orleans underwent so many changes during this period that allegiances change, and Aveline is caught up in all of this. It's a complete Assassin's Creed experience on a handheld. So it's got all the gameplay, the graphics, the navigation, combat, everything you expect from Assassin's Creed.
So it looks very similar to the Assassin's Creed. I'll edit that bit. It looks very similar to Assassin's Creed 3 on the PlayStation, on the Xbox. How have you managed to get the graphics and the gameplay looking so similar?
We've actually worked very closely with Sony and with Montreal. The engine inside is the Anvil Next engine, so we've bought this from Assassin's Creed 3 with all the core gameplay, everything's there. And by working with Sony, it means we've been able to extract the best from the platform and get it all there for the first full Assassin's experience.
Tell us a little bit about the development process that goes into this particular game.
Well, the development of the game has actually taken just over 18 months. It's something that we actually began by sitting down with Montreal, the Assassin's Creed team, and talking very closely with them about what we wanted to achieve for the game. From there, we actually have continuously worked with them, having people going from Sofia to Montreal and from Montreal to Sofia, and obviously also working very closely with Sony. So we followed a continual process of us experimenting, trying new things. Particular amount of focus went into Aveline, our lead character. She's been worked on very closely by the creative and character art team working together. And then actually sort of as we identified what we wanted to do and worked on it more and more until eventually we identified, yes, this is our character, this is our game.
Okay, so obviously this is the first female assassin that we've seen in the,
Yes.
In the game series so far. What's the reaction been from people?
It's been fantastic. From the award at E3 for most kick-ass hero or heroine, it's been overwhelming. Continuously people are asking us about Aveline, challenging us about Aveline, wanting her to be a viable, tangible, real character. She is based on some very real-life people that we discovered during our research, and we actually often say that we didn't invent her; she was there waiting to be discovered. It's been absolutely incredible, the reception we've received.
Excellent. And how big is the game itself?
The game's about 15 hours to 20 hours, depending on your experience. A typical Assassin's Creed player should expect around 15 hours of full-on gameplay with main narrative, side quests, everything.
Has there been any thought for downloadable content for this, or is it something you can't really talk about?
It's something I can't really talk about at the moment, I'm afraid.
So the game looks really good on the Vita. Tell us about that.
The Vita's been a fantastic platform to work with. I mean, we fell in love with the screen from the very first moment we saw it, and from there developing with the hardware inside and working with Sony, it's really brought everything to life. We've been able to deliver the full Assassin's experience, and it's really a project of love.
Well, Sony obviously have a lot of faith in it because there's a bundle pack, isn't there? So
Yes.
That's really quite exciting because I think a lot of people will be buying that for Christmas. And for other people like that. So, and I completely lost my train of thought just then. No, I'll edit that bit out, obviously. So what?
I was trying to think of something to put on the end there to see if it's. If
I'll let
would
it
work. Okay.
So what challenges have you faced developing for the Vita?
Well, I mean, having the goal and the mandate of developing a full Assassin's Creed experience, obviously we needed to bring the Anvil Next engine to the Vita. However, working really closely with Montreal and Sony again, it's been a good process for us. We've managed to bring it on, and this has been the key to developing Liberation. Has been just working really closely with Montreal and Sony all the way. Both sides have provided us with so much valuable help and assistance and guidance that we've been able to bring what we wanted for Liberation to the Vita in its entirety. And as I mentioned, it's always been the goal to bring a full Assassin's experience, and here it is.
And what was your rationale behind having a female character as the lead for this game?
This was something that actually came to us from investigation of New Orleans. It suddenly struck us that the culture in New Orleans, it was very diverse. It was very different to the rest of Europe at the time, and this actually gave us opportunities. The treatment of women in New Orleans, generally we would say that clearly it's not acceptable by modern standards. But also in some conditions, women were given unique opportunities. Women that were born into a situation like Aveline's, very often they were raised by their fathers and loved by their fathers and given an opportunity, and some of them really took advantage of this and built on it. And so this kind of gave us a very interesting group of characters that we didn't know existed. And so it seemed the right thing to do. Here's a bunch of very self-empowered and strong-willed women, and this is exactly what we're looking for in an assassin. So there she was.
Can you tell us a little bit about her background, her story?
Yeah, she's born to a wealthy French merchant father and an African slave mother. This system was actually very common in Louisiana at the time because they couldn't encourage women to move from France to New Orleans. It was a form of temporary marriage, as I mentioned earlier. Sorry, can I redo that bit? Sorry, I don't like saying that, as I mentioned earlier. But
no, I do that all the time. Don't worry.
Okay, so it's a bit about her background. Yep. Okay. Yeah, sure. Aveline is born to a wealthy French father who's a merchant and an African mother. The system is called plaçage, and it's something that was very common in Louisiana at the time because they couldn't encourage women to move from France and the old world to the new world. She's born into this system. She's loved by her father, and so actually she's raised, given an education. She is very much part of New Orleans society. Her neighbours know her friends know her as this graceful young lady who is very familiar with the city and the way it operates. Of course, they don't know her as the assassin, and they also don't know her other guys as the slave. She meets up with her mentor, who's called Agati, who is himself an escaped slave. He brings her into the assassin's order, and together they move against the Templars, who are operating on an insidious plot to take control of New Orleans and the area, which itself is undergoing a change of official power anyway. New Orleans was handed over to the Spanish in the 1760s as repatriation for the French and Indian Wars by the French. So there's all sorts of chaos and turmoil going on, and Aveline is coming to womanhood and working out who she is within this period.
And when will this game be available?
Assassin's Creed 3 Liberation comes out October the 30th this year, same time as Assassin's Creed 3.
Excellent. Thank you very much for your time.
My pleasure.
Please, no, spare my wife and child.
Like you've spared the lives of slaves and laborers you've ripped from their families?
Yes, they are not harmed, merely transported to Mexico.
Mexico? To what end?